President of Portugal Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa made a harsh statement about U.S. President Donald Trump. In his opinion, the American leader is, objectively, a Soviet or Russian agent. The supreme leader of the world's largest superpower is objectively a Soviet or Russian asset, said de Sousa during a speech in Castelo de Vide. Trump's efforts to present himself as the main mediator in reconciling Ukraine and Russia did not make a good impression on the Portuguese president. De Sousa noted that Trump's attempts to settle the war were not beneficial for Ukraine. Objectively, the new U.S. leadership strategically contributed to Russia, he added. As an example, de Sousa reminded that every day there are new threats from the U.S. to impose sanctions on the Kremlin. However, in reality, none of Trump's promises to strengthen sanctions had been fulfilled. According to the Portuguese leader, Trump tries to play the role of an arbiter, but at the same time wants to negotiate only with one side. Kiev and its European allies are literally forced to pressure Washington to also take part in the negotiations. De Sousa added that Europe downplayed the importance of Trump and Trumpism, and also did not believe that the balance of power in the White House and U.S. policy could change so drastically after Trump came to power. Meanwhile, media write that U.S. President Donald Trump is not satisfied with the demands of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenski and Europe for ending the war. He wants peace at any cost. In recent days, Trump has expressed in private conversations his frustration that his loud diplomatic efforts have not brought results, but he blames not Russia and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Sousa's reaction came after Trump's repeated attempts to position himself as the primary mediator in bringing Ukraine and Russia together. Trump's efforts to settle the conflict, according to Sousa, have not actually helped Ukraine. Instead, he suggested, the 79-year-old's actions could weaken Ukraine's position or may even indirectly favor Russia, according to Ukrainian national news. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said on Thursday she was outraged by deadly Russian strikes on Kiev, which also damaged the EU mission building. According to Associated Press, von der Leyen said 2 missiles landed within 50 meters of the EU's offices within 20 seconds of each other earlier in the morning. Russia's wider bombardment of the capital killed at least 15 people and injured 48, local authorities said. The numbers were expected to rise, with rescue teams still working to recover people trapped under the rubble of damaged buildings. Von der Leyen said no EU staff were among those harmed. She said the attacks were a grim reminder that Moscow would stop at nothing to terrorize Ukraine. It was the first major Russian attack on Kyiv in weeks as US-led peace efforts to end the 3-year war struggled to gain traction. According to Ukraine's Air Force, 598 strike drones and decoys and 31 missiles of different types were launched across, making it one of the war's biggest air attacks. Russia's Ministry of Defense said it carried out a strike against military air bases and companies within Ukraine's military-industrial complex, using long-range weapons, including Kinzhal missiles. It comes as Ukrainian drones have repeatedly struck refineries and other oil infrastructure in recent weeks in an attempt to weaken Russia's war economy, causing gas stations in some Russian regions to run dry and prices to spike.
I'm outraged by the attack on Kyiv, also hitting our EU offices. This was the deadliest drone and missile attack on the capital since July. And as you can see behind me on the screen, it was an attack also on our delegation. I just spoke with our deputy ambassador, and I'm relieved that none of our staff were harmed. Last night's attack struck in close proximity of the diplomatic mission, the representation of our union. 2 missiles hit in a distance of 50 meters of the delegation within 20 seconds. And this is another grim reminder of what is at stake. It shows that the Kremlin will stop at nothing to terrorize Ukraine, blindly killing civilians, men, women and children, and even targeting the European Union. This is why we are keeping maximum pressure on Russia. That means tightening our sanctions regime. We will come forward soon with our 19th package of hard-biting sanctions. And in parallel, we are advancing the work on the Russian frozen assets to contribute to Ukraine's defense and reconstruction. And of course, we are ensuring strong, unwavering support to Ukraine, our neighbor, partner, friend, and our future member. Thank you very much.
An aid convoy entered the city of Sousa in southern Syria via the main highway from Damascus on Thursday, for the first time since a major outbreak of sectarian violence last month shook the country's fragile recovery from nearly 14 years of civil war. According to Associated Press, clashes broke out in mid-July between government forces and local Bedouin tribesmen on one side, and fighters from the country's Druze minority on the other. Hundreds were killed and tens of thousands displaced, and allegations have surfaced of government fighters executing Druze civilians and looting and burning houses. Though the fighting has largely calmed down, government forces have surrounded the southern city. The Druze have said that little aid is going in, calling it a siege. Sousa's provincial government said in a statement Thursday that a convoy had arrived in the city via the main highway, carrying UN aid intended to meet the residents' basic needs. State-run Al Akhbariya TV said the convoy included 18 trucks carrying food baskets, cleaning supplies and solar-powered lamps. The main highway had been closed since the fighting, with the aid convoys that did go in taking a circuitous route by way of Dara province, which is south of Sousa. UN humanitarian coordinator for Syria Adam Abdelmullah, in a statement last week after visiting Sousa, said that the health system was under severe strain, with hospitals and clinics facing acute shortages of essential medications, including insulin, dialysis supplies, and cancer treatments. The statement added that prices for basic goods had soared, with families waiting in long lines for fuel and other essentials. Humanitarian assistance alone cannot resolve these challenges, it said. Restoring safe and reliable flows of commercial goods is critical to stabilizing the situation and preventing further deterioration.